Hello, hello, you most beautiful, precious. Hello, hello, you bright lights, you shining stars, you wonderful beings of light. Hello. Happy Valentine's Day. Yay, Valentine's. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I love it. Hello, I see Brandon in the chat. I see Chloe, Seeker, Lori. Oh, Coke Queen. Good to see you, darling. Hello, hello. So this is Edgar Cayce life skills. We are in the secrets of the universe and how to use them. Pardon me. Sorry, that was my mint. How often do I have a mint in my mouth and then I forget? You guys know me. And if you don't know me, I'm Courtney, host of Stars of the Morning Light. Good to meet you. So beautiful stars. I had said this with the last recording that the last chapter and this chapter is about karma. This chapter is literally 2 pages. There's nothing, there's like not much to work with here. Um, and I know I talk mad smack about the writer, and I don't mean it that way. I think this poor lady was hit with a huge undertaking, a huge one. How do you take all of his readings that had been categorized and then go through all of them to then try to sort out which is which and what is what and what to use and how to explain things? Not so easy, right? Not easy. So I don't mean to be mean to the author. She's written other books. She's perfectly fine. I think this was a very big undertaking, and she probably signed on to do it, being very loyal to Cayce and wanting to explain and show his worth, and then didn't realize how in depth and how big and broad things would be. So this is chapter 8, The Secrets of Karma. Sincerely, folks, I'm probably not even going to read the 2 pages because it's kind of jumbled with some great Cayce quotes. So I will pull out the Cayce quotes, but we're going to talk about karma either way, right? So happy Valentine's Day. I think it's a glorious day um, for all of us to be reminded to tell others how amazing and wonderful and great and worthy and deserving everyone is of love. You know, I was actually talking with someone a few weeks ago, and she is going to be recording with me at the end of March. She is kind of, she's not a big heavy hitter in the spiritual community, but she hits pretty hard. That one, Elena Chapman. She will also be at New Earth. Wrong hand. New Earth Energy Market Holistic Fair, April 27th and 28th. She has an amazing podcast that's Mystical Muse. She has spoken with many wonderful, fascinating people. But I was having coffee with her a few weeks ago, and we were talking about all sorts of stuff, all over the board. And it was brought up about, soul contracts and souls and karma. So we were in one of those kind of conversations. And I kind of realized in that moment that her and I can have those conversations, but not too many people can. With understanding what is really happening, right? So we're going to take from these Cayce quotes and we are going to break it down, folks. We're going to break it down to the best of my ability to make it as, easy to digest and easy to understand why your life kind of has been the way it is, right? It's we're going to get through it. We will. We're going to get through it. Oh, Lucky Stone came in. Ah, thank you, Lucky, for being here, sir. To tell everybody, I did pre-record a video for Friday, this Friday at 11, which will be leading into my conversation about the laws, the laws, which is really the order of the operation of where we are. I've been telling y'all that I was going to do it. This is like the precursor to it, that I do an overview again of hermetics. Because in 3D, 3, 4, and even some of 5, um, the hermetic principles are a lot of the law that we need to work through. First, we got to understand to then break out of the matrix with. So that is going to air on Friday at 11. Beautiful, beautiful stars here. You know that I don't know my stuff about this whole YouTube electronic world. I did not know that when I recorded that, basically, I recorded live, unlisted, so nobody could see, so I could repost it later. I did not know I was not able to set a premiere for it. So it's ready. It's ready to rock and roll Friday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. An overview of hermetics, but I can't do a premiere. So know that I will be there. The reason this is important is because when you all are watching that and enjoying yourselves in the chat and having a great Friday morning, I will actually be recording with Lucky to air Friday night with Lucky. Everyone, please understand, Lucky and I would love to probably go live for everybody, but I need to get to at least 500 subscribers before I'm capable of going live with people like that. So, if you like what you see here, definitely subscribe. Definitely send the message out. Definitely show me some love on this Valentine's Day. So, that's how that's going. I'll be recording while y'all are watching, and we're going to have a marvelous Friday. So, karma. So, karma. She she opens this up saying, "First, what is karma?" And beloveds, I have to say, she never answered it. She never answered it. So, I guess to try to stay in line as to what this book is trying to say, I guess I'll have to go into karma. She's got a Cayce quote though after it that says, "What is karma but giving way to impulse?" Hmm. Thinking and acting or isn't impulse in a lot of ways, reacting, speaking before thinking, impulse, and it's very I driven, which Cayce goes into. Let's just straight up talk about karma for a minute. Okay. It's a very big topic. Um, we have our daily We have our daily karma. And honestly, I have talking to great Buddhists from um, Thailand, a couple from Tibet, um, definitely some Japanese ones. Um, so I could get a bigger scope as to, okay, so those who are raised in non-Western Buddhism, right? Because non-Western or Western Buddhism, we do a lot of things. The West takes whatever they want and creates whatever they want, right? Um, so I've had some interesting conversations throughout my years. There is the daily karma. We're going to just quickly call it, let's do the golden rule. Treat others the way you would like to be treated. It could be that simple, folks. Think before you act and speak. Make wise decisions because there's daily ones. There's daily ones, and you never know when it's gonna catch up on you. Here's an example. You're having a really horrible day, and the cashier at the store is also probably having a horrible day. And instead of just going through the process and biting your tongue or what have you, no, in that moment, because you're having a horrible day, you decide to, I don't know, cuss them out or complain to their boss. Well, instead of having compassion to self and compassion for others, you just started a process that maybe potentially 3 weeks later, when you're in the same store, that employee is like, no, that person did me bogus. I'm going to now see if I can get them banned from the store. Something, it's an eye for an eye, right? It's creating karma. It's creating whatever negative energy you're going to be putting out there will come back to you. If we put out good energy, it will also come back to you. I know the world understands this concept. That is what the majority of the world understands. So I'm not going to stay with that too long. But now let's talk about some past life karma. How does that work, right? How does that work? So, I I just made that sound that, oh man, because I'm going to have to explain lessons, and people get caught up on the life lessons. And many of the viewers here also know how I feel about that. But I am going to have to do it in the practical and Buddhist form of thinking of it, and also where we are today, in my humble opinion. So, karma from past lives. And as many of you know, I do karmic timeline cleanses. I go in there and I clean up all your negative, all your bad, so you don't have to carry it with you. Let's say in a past life long, long ago, you were a bad mamma jamma. You were. We've all done it. We've all done it. You were a person. Especially, I mean, think about the times through history. How many of you were actually a warrior at many a times over because we know nothing about war and killed a whole bunch of people? That's karma. That's bad, right? We're not supposed to be doing that. It's very sad because I've had talks with humans that ask if that is the natural state of humans. And no, it's not. It's not at all. It's actually the goal for us as a collective is to demonstrate to ourselves and others, as above, so below, that war does not need to be. I digress. So, let's say you were a bad mamma jamma at some point throughout your lives. That negative energy, kind of the debt you have to pay, will come through at some point. It will show up in ways you don't know of yet, right? It'll come in maybe not even the next life, maybe the one after that. It could be 5 lives down that and you have no clue that you were a bad guy. But you're going to pay your debts to it. And we've all done it. We've all done it. Um There's also I wanna give other variations because people don't know this part of the variations, okay? A lot of the karma that I clean up, the negative energy, is based maybe not on what we do to others, but how we often curse ourselves and don't know it. How we often talk to ourselves, treat ourselves, and we're not aware of the implications. Oftentimes, this is when we are dying because death is this death is fast, simple, boom, you're gone. The act of dying, ing, can be long, can be painful, can be severe, depending on what time we're talking about you're living, right? Imagine walking in the woods and it's 1465 and you're alive. And I don't know, you're in France or England or something, and you're walking in the woods and somehow you fall and you broke your leg really bad and nobody knows you're around. That is a very long, drawn out death, right? This is not to get anybody down in the dumps right now because we're here, we're alive, we're doing wonderful. Um, but oftentimes, when let's say a human experiences that kind of thing, and they know they're powerless, they know, man, if they had just taken a different route, all the questions start coming in. They start calling themselves such horrible things. I cannot tell you more. It's so horrible what we do to ourselves. In that state, even if you were a pretty decent human, your karma from day in and day out in that life was pretty great. You didn't harm others. You did the golden rule. That span of time as you are dying and not in acceptance, in anger, in pain, in rage, in sorrow, in so many human emotions, what we tell ourselves and do to ourselves can also cause karma. We're in this as an individual and how we live. So I there's a lot more to it. Oftentimes, and the reason I'm bringing this up, right? Because I'm hoping none of you are going to be walking in the woods and break your leg and then be like, oh, Courtney needs to say something, or Courtney says, be nice to myself, is because how often How often beautiful stars, especially the healers, the empaths, oh my goodness, how often do we treat others with respect and dignity and compassion and love and grace? How often do we do that for others, but we forget to do it for ourselves? Hence, also creating karma. So, so it's there's a lot more to than just being a bad guy, right? Being a bad guy. And that's where a lot of people then will go, yeah, because this is the Earth school or the Earth school. Yes, the Earth school that where we are learning our lessons. Well, what is one of the main lessons that we have to learn? It is to love ourselves and then love others and then love beyond. And that's the one that gets lost through translation a lot. I'm sorry for the pause. I'm kind of thinking of where I want to go with this. Let's see what a Casey quote is in the book. Because I will tell you, somewhere in today's message, I also have to talk about soul contracts. Because there's more to that too. And they're also intertwined with karma, these quote unquote lessons. Hmm, lessons. If y'all wanna be done with your lessons, then be done with your lessons. You already know. There's not too many lessons to learn, folks. That's why I say that. And I know I'm jumping around, but there's really not that many lessons to learn. The one we have to learn the most is to love. To love. If you can get that one down pat, if you can get if you can if you can learn unconditional love for yourself and others and all the beings and earth and divine, You're gravy. You are gravy. It's not that hard. It's not that there's not like all these many lessons. It's literally, are you choosing love? Are you pausing instead of causing more karma for yourself and possibly others by in that moment instead of reacting or speaking or what have you? Are you pausing and going, hmm, what would unconditional love do right now? Are we doing that? That's your solution right there. Because that's the only thing we have to actually learn. It's literally everything else is, uh, you know, trying to get us to that point. There's not much more to learn other than that. Okay, so then she asks, what is karmic debt? That is, if you're a bad mamma jamma or you do something wrong, you're gonna have to kind of pay for it. And maybe I'll go into that a bit more. There's a wonderful Casey quote here. Okay, Casey, and I'm gonna read this little section. Casey told another who asked whether she had a lot of bad karma to work out in this life. He answered this way: "Karma is rarely understood," he said. "Karma depends upon what the soul has done about it a as become aware of." He said, "Karma isn't worked out, it is forgiven." Ooh, that's a big one, isn't it? As I talk about self-love. So, karmic debt. This woman asked him, "Do I have a lot of karma that I gotta work out in this life? Do I have to keep learning all these lessons? Do I have to keep learning all these lessons and repair all my karma?" And Casey said, "Well, there's a lot about karma people don't understand, including you, because it's the way you're asking that question. Karma depends upon what the soul has done about that it is aware of." He said, "Karma isn't worked out, it is forgiven." So, when we talk about lessons and karma debt, because they're kind of the same thing as how people speak about them now, isn't it? Why do I keep learning, having to learn this lesson? Why do I keep choosing people who are emotionally unavailable for me? Or why do I keep doing this? Or why do I keep doing that? Are you aware of it? Is your soul aware of it? Have you forgiven yourself for it? So oftentimes when I'm doing a karmic timeline cleanse and we come on some nasty stuff, right? And there's been, I including myself, guys, I was not the greatest in all my lives, right? The top thing that I have to tell people afterwards usually is forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. You're human. Forgive yourself. Those orders probably came down to you. Forgive yourself. You had ambitions that turned dark. Forgive yourself. And what's always funny to me, or puzzling, I shouldn't say funny, puzzling to me is that it is very hard for humans to forgive themselves in their current life, let alone any past life. And what do you think would happen if you did? If supposedly, let's go with the standard idea of a God, just a standard concept. What do the three top religions talk about? They talk about forgiveness, either in whatever avenue that needs to be taken, whatever way it's taken. They talk about receiving forgiveness from the divine. The divine is not going to forgive you if you cannot forgive yourself. That is very fundamental. That is why you have these messiahs that represent the forgiveness for you, but unfortunately many, and this is not in any disrespect or judgment, this is just how it is. Many do not take that forgiveness into themselves. No matter how you believe it to come, they many do not actually take that forgiveness into themselves, and therefore will never believe that they are deserving and worthy of the greatness that they are. Therefore, they will continue to live in the thought patterns and habits and behaviors that have them making choices that create more karma. Did y'all track? Okay. So, when you and your soul know, man, I've done this. Do I forgive myself? Yes, I do. Excellent. Thank you. I love myself. I love myself. Awesome. I accept myself. Awesome. When that happens, we automatically start choosing differently. We start living differently. And even if we're carrying out quote unquote debt, lessons to be lived, we then choose differently when they present themselves, therefore squashing all kind of karma. Squashing all kind of karma, right? It's kind of like when as you get older, you might get some allergies in your life. You might have some food allergies that are like, "Whoa, where'd this come from?" And all of a sudden you're allergic and you find out you're allergic. Well, most people then stop eating that. Most people choose differently. Hence then staying healthy. Hence then not putting themselves in harm. Karma is very similar. Also, if you take the allergy kind of metaphor here, you pause and you ask the waiter, what's in that? Because you know I'm allergic to this. You pause, you think about something before you put it in your mouth. Karma's the same way. And the more we do that, the more that we are conscious of our decisions, the more our karma gets squashed and we get presented with awesome new choices. Hmm. I'm just scrolling, I'm just scanning the page, looking for some Cayce quotes. How are y'all doing in the chat? Thank you for listening. Mm. I will tell you, there's a bit of a section in here because Beautiful Stars, this literally is just 2 pages. It's there's not much. There's a beautiful section in here. I'm gonna read these lines here. We have the choice of accepting responsibility for our actions and reactions, blaming someone or something else, or blaming God. Karmic influences must ever be met, but he who prepared the way that he takes upon himself, and as he trusts in him, he shows thee the way to meet the hindrance or conditions that would disrupt thee in any phase of thy experience. This is grace. That was a whole lot of he, thee, them, and of course, remember Cayce, um, was a he was a lovely Christian man, and he did read the Bible with different eyes. Um, He's saying it is grace when we are forgiven. It is grace when you forgive yourself. Because right up at top, he said to forgive yourself once your soul becomes aware. That is grace, is that is what they are saying below. The grace of how Christ, for Cayce, paid the debt, paid the debt for your sins, right? Karma's a little bit different than sin, though. And that's what I wanted to get to. Karma is actually because all is energy, right? Sin is an action. That's what I guess I should say that first. Sin, if we want to quote unquote use that word, sin is an action. That's it literally, it's an action and a thought, depending how bad your thoughts are. um, Sin is an action, right? Karma though is is full energy, right? It's the energy exchanged. It's the energy that is passed through the lives. It is the energy that circulates around. Sin is a human action. So karma, everything is energy. You're a beautiful energy being in a body of form. Yes, these beautiful body tools that we have. When, let's say we do, as I said at the beginning, we cussed out that cashier. That would be a sin. That's actually really bad. Don't do that, right? Don't treat others that way. That is an action that us humans do, right? And it could be very low on the spectrum or very high on the spectrum or however you need to see it. That's still an action that humans do. Karma tends to be of thought and energy. Hence, when I said we often are creating karma and we're not even aware of it by what we are saying to ourselves within those minds of ours. Karma is attached to thought more than action. Still attached to action, because if you're cussing somebody out, that's not good. Still attached to it, it's going to come back at you in action. When if it's thought, if it's that form of kind of energy, it's going to come back at you in many different ways. Disappointment, discouragement, loneliness, all those human emotions, right? It can come at you differently than an action. I hope everybody's kind of tracking here. This is why karma's a little bit that's why Casey said it's rarely understood. In regard to lessons, have you been through enough? Have you seen enough? Have you witnessed enough in this life and all the lives? I don't know. Raise your hand. Have you? Or do you think you still have a lot of lessons to learn? That's up to you. That's up to you and your business with your soul. In my humble opinion, the majority of us, at least here at Stars of the Morning Light, we've been through enough. We've acted and reacted, witnessed and done, felt, experienced enough throughout all of our lives. We've been wonderful and harmonious and in these bodies of form, and then we've been the worst being on the planet in these bodies of form. We've been all over the storybook land that is this earth school. We've done it all. So, I guess I have to pose, do you think you still have lessons to learn? Lessons and metaphysical concepts, esoteric knowledge are not the same thing. They're seriously not the same thing, completely 2 different, um, skill sets and of knowledge, right? Lessons are and your karma, right? Your karma debt, which is interchangeable in today's world. Lessons are really there so you can choose differently, so you can experience enough here on this earth plane, on this earth school, to elevate yourself to the highest being potential that you can be, right? All that esoteric knowledge and metaphysical knowledge and spiritual knowledge, that is just that it's a tool to work along with those lessons. It's a tool. So if the lessons are, let me put it in like, I don't know, high school terms. If karmic debt and the lessons are a pop quiz every Friday morning for you or Monday morning, whatever that pop quiz, right? All this esoteric spiritual knowledge, that's just your answers of choice. They assist in you understanding these lessons and moving out of them, choosing differently. What would unconditional love do? Esoteric, metaphysical, spiritual, they are not lessons. That is just knowledge, right? Mm. Chloe, may I use that? Chloe just put something great in the chat. Um, if you don't mind, Chloe, I would actually like to, because you're not alone there. You're not alone, my dear. Not alone with that. Um, okay, Chloe gave me permission to speak upon what she asked in the chat. So I will. I do try to ask for permissions when it's something like this. Miss Chloe said, I supposedly need to learn the main lesson in life to love. I was told that I don't know how to love because I was never shown how to love or been loved. Do I accept that? I'm not sure, right? So that was Chloe's question. Do I accept that I've heard this and somebody has told me this? Is it true for me? How does that work, right? And you are not alone with that, sweetheart. Um, if anything, it's one of those little baby lessons attached to the big mighty lesson, right? That's why we refer to them as lessons because stuff like this happens over and over again. These kind of conversations, these interactions with others. So many of us have received the same dialogue from someone. It could have been a counselor, could have been a dear friend, could have been a spiritual advisor, someone, or we just know and we question within ourselves, do I have the capacity to love when I've never actually experienced it? So, Chloe, I will say yes, you have the capacity to love. We all have the capacity to love, right? We all that is the utmost that us humans can do. Love ourselves, each other, the earth, and the divine. Um, your question, Chloe, is somewhat twofold. Do you have the capacity to love? Yes. Do you trust love? I don't know. Do you have unconditional love? Hmm. It might be unhealthy unconditional love. Well, a lot of us have that. Love is tricky. Love needs to be healthy. Love has trust. Love has no record of wrongs, as I spoke in with my patrons. Not here, I apologize. Love keeps no record of wrongs, right? In Corinthians, when they talk about love and it's, wonderful, most people leave out the most important line in Corinthians that says love keeps no record of wrongs. That is the unconditional. You failed me, I forgive you, I keep no record of wrongs. Do I keep allowing it? No, because I also love myself, right? Love is complex. Love is um has many facets to it that are also individual and collective, right? So, do I think that you have the capacity? Do we all have the capacity to love? Yes. Do I think it needs to be healthy? Yes. Do I think there needs to be trust? Yes. That's where unconditional comes in. How do you have unconditional? Because people confuse unconditional with an unbelievable amount of forgiveness, which is there, right? Love keeps no record of wrongs, but they attach unconditional to being in harmful situations when they shouldn't be, right? Or forgiving this person over and over again as they continue to do harm to themselves and others. That's not necessarily what love is. I think we have a very distorted view on what love is. And it's because we A, have to love ourselves. We A, have to experience healthy love, which pretty much nobody here has. We have nothing to judge it by. We have nothing to judge it by until we do look at the masters, until we look at the masters and how they lived, right? Buddha walked out of his wonderful castle one day and walked around and saw all his people suffering, horribly suffering. No food, no shelter. I mean, suffering. He had no idea growing up as a child in his lovely castle. His love then demanded him to find the reason for this suffering and beyond money and resources. His love forced him to become the Buddha that he is, the master that he is. Same for Christ. So Christ so loved the earth. Christ so loved the world that he went through unspeakable stuff, but at the same time, he'd be throwing tables over in them temples now, wouldn't he? Love is so complex. It has to be healthy. It has to have trust. It has to be unconditional with boundaries. There's so many facets to love that we do not have examples of in today. So when someone says this to you, to Chloe, to us, they are partially right. They are very partially right. Because when we don't experience it, then we don't know the fullness of like the divine love. We don't know the fullness of the willingness that that kind of love has, the determination that that love has, all of it. I hope I'm making sense. Co Queen just made a good point. See, she just said everybody's definition is different. We also have to express what it is we believe we need from others. Exactly. But that's a part of it. That's a part of receiving love. We don't just give love. This is a reciprocal thing here. I guess I probably assumed that in my dialogue. We receive love. And so if we haven't experienced it, both giving and receiving, then it's hard to understand what we are, what we do have the capacity for. It is. It's hard to wrap our head around it. Do we all, though? Yes. Do we all? Definitely. Hands down, if you can think of anything, it needs to be healthy love. In that cap, or, you know, headline, healthy love, there's a whole lot to it. There's a whole lot to it that is more difficult in the density of 3D. Very difficult. But in regards to karma, can we still use whatever concept we have of love to make better decisions moving forward? Yes. Whatever our concept is. And if you've had a horrible experience with love, which the majority of us have, then look to something else. I'm going to put this out there. My patrons know this, that have gone through my moon manifesting class. I started working with the moon when I was 17 because she called to me. I did not know. Well, I kind of found out within the first few years of being with her, she was replacing that motherly, nurturing love that I needed. I was a 17-year-old kid. I needed it, and I never had it. So, our divine moon mother, our divine feminine representation, I built a relationship with her that she listens and cares for me, and we're in constant communication. Because I had to I think that is why she came to me, is because I needed something else to be that representation and to teach me about love. Loving myself, loving others, that nurturing that a mother would do. So oftentimes, we try to find that in other people, other relationships, right? But us people, we are just as broken as everybody else. We really are. We're just as broken. So I do suggest turning to some kind of divine. It could be Mother Earth. She's not ever, the earth will never do anything bad to you. The earth will never harm you. It is us who start that cause and effect. You could follow any kind of divine being. You can go that route and build a relationship so you can learn what actual love is with all its healthy boundaries, trust, willingness, listening, receptive, all of it, back and forth. Because us humans, we will fail, and all of us humans, we are broken. Now, in saying that as well, I've been married for well over a decade now. Um, when I got married, I mean, I surely did not know who I was marrying, which happens to pretty much everybody you ask that's married right now. They'd be like, "Yeah, I didn't know that person, even if we dated for like 3 years." Um, it took a very long time to accept that person fully, my husband, to accept him fully, to love him fully, to trust, because my trust really depended on me and my reactions, not so much what he does, to become healthy. It took a great many years. Do I unconditionally love my husband? Yes, I do. Not everybody does, though, because the conditions are unacceptable. This is, again, I've spoken with my patrons about this of False acceptance. Accepting the unacceptable is what often humans do because we don't feel we're worthy and we deserve better, or we don't see a way out, or what have you, or we try to continue to use the phrase unconditional love, waiting for the change to happen. Um, that is false acceptance. We're accepting, or reverse acceptance. I mean, sorry, reverse acceptance. We're accepting the unacceptable. Still, not living and experiencing what love can truly be. Oh, oh man. Sorry for the pause there, folks. I do go live, and I am live, and I'm here with these beautiful beings and you lovely stars. Chloe, Chloe just said, I tried to find that in Christ, and that's where I was told I deny the love of the Father because I don't know how to love. Oh, sweetie. Okay. Well, we all embrace you. Well, big hug, big hug, big hug to Chloe, big hug to Chloe. Thank you for being vulnerable and willing to share this, my dear. Well, so let us remember that all people are fallible. That at least that religion does teach that. So that's good. That's good. That gives them an out when stuff like this is said. Um the love of the divine, the love of the Father, the love of Christ, if we want to go that way to make this point. Oh, I'm going to be nice here and gentle. Um I will express that I don't believe the majority of the Christians out there understand it either. It has nothing to the love from that divine, from that Trinity. Let's say that Trinity, because there's many different Trinities. Let's say that particular Trinity, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. That is freely given. It is freely given. It is freely yours. It is freely able to access at any time if you so choose. Neither the Father, the Son, or the Holy Spirit put the limitations and restrictions on humans as the organization does. So, if that person was saying you don't know the love of the Father because you don't know how to love, well, that was kind of arrogant for them to say. But at the same time, they might have been trying to say, you just don't know how to express it yet, right? There might have been some yets there that were not verbally said because we haven't been able to take it in yet, the full love. So I'm trying to be fair to that person as well, right? Because maybe they didn't express themselves well enough. And that love is always, always given. And going back to the beginning of this message, the one thing that holds us, that keeps us separated from experiencing that love, is when we deny ourselves the self forgiveness that is needed as well. And that's why many in the organization also don't know the love. When we do not forgive ourselves that is still a big wall that we have that does not allow that particular Trinity's love and forgiveness and grace to enter. It's like giving that Trinity um the wrong key to your house. It's not really going to be entered. It's not really going to be allowed in. We're saying we do. But if we don't forgive ourselves wholeheartedly, they too can't forgive us. This is a symbiotic relationship with the you know why? I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on because this is the key. The Trinity and me equals 4. That's perfect balance and stability. The Trinity and me equals 4. 4 and 4 is 8. That's infinity. So think of it that way. We also have to be participants in the loving of ourselves and forgiveness of ourselves. So I'm trying to give a little bit of compassion towards who might have said that because I don't know all the circumstances, right? And if they were looking at it in the light of we don't know how to demonstrate it yet because we're babes maybe in this world of love and trying to learn about love and experience love so then we can demonstrate it. But the only thing that blocks us from internalizing that Trinity's love is the lack of self forgiveness. Because the Trinity in me equals 4. That's complete stability. That's complete foundation. That's also, if you want to see it that way, the bottom of your pyramid. So it definitely we have to see all sides. We have to see all possible reasons, but that is the key. And keep practicing. You know, it's funny because, man, I swear I should just, I'm going to end up doing a Bible study at some point. I know y'all just went, oh, no, Courtney, but I'm going to teach you how to read it with new eyes. I'm going to teach you how to read it with having cultural awareness that most, let me tell you, a lot of pastors don't have the cultural awareness of what the customs of what the Middle East was for thousands of years. I teach it not only with that, but with the knowledge of the universe. Maybe I should, because when you can read it with new eyes, so much is vastly different. And then bring in the Dead Sea Scrolls, then bring in the Nagamati texts. It's vastly different. It's so different than what is portrayed and circulated out there in their little pamphlets and programs. Very, very different. So I just I totally agree with Coke Queen there. It's very, very different. So I hope that did help Chloe. People can say that to a people. You're not alone with that either. People can say that to us because we don't know how to demonstrate, and also, like what Coke Queen was saying, we also don't know how to ask for how it needs to be demonstrated to us. But truly, self-forgiveness is the key to let all divine love in, and then it helps you to forgive others. You see how that goes? Actually, let's just go from that into soul contracts then, because then that was a good little segue. Yep, that was a good little segue because that's how we're gonna finish talking about this karma here because I've been going for quite a while. We all got soul contracts. Soul contracts. So they can be little ones, like somebody tells you something that knocks you off your block, and then you have to investigate it and it opens up a whole new world to you. Little baby ones. to full on hardcore. Y'all have been doing this a few lives together, mom, dad, siblings, spouses, children, all of it, right? The whole web of connection down here. So let me talk about the little ones first. This could be as simple as I'll tell you one about mine. Um, I didn't know it at the time, but when I first moved down here, I got fired for the first time in life because the boss there, I ain't never dealt with anything like that in my life. I mean, it was psychological warfare. I felt like I was going into a lot of persecution, a lot of just crazy. And then when I finally bit back, I got fired. Um, I did not know at the time. It was also soon after that is when I started working with the Akashic. She had done the exact same thing to me prior in a life well ago in France when I was persecuted. It was her who started that chain of events. So, not only in this life, did it happen again, really? I mean, was I burned at the stake? No, but I got fired for the first time in life at like the age of 30 something or whatever. Whoa, it felt that way because what do you do then? Um, but I came to find out that's who she was. But see, on the other side of that, when we're talking about lessons or debt or how these connections work, even with karma, everything is trying to get you to the ascension elevator. Everything's trying to get you to improve, to know that you are the great being that you are worthy and great, and you are beyond the limitations here. Everything's trying to get you to that, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. The angels are trying to assist you in good ways. Karma is trying to follow you around to nip things in the bud or kick you in the butt. That boss of mine, when I got fired, it was real difficult. I mean, talk about a dark night of the soul with that one. Um, that is what, though, and I will tell you, I was also working at a Christian school for the bad kids. I'm just gonna put bad kids in here, which is not PC, but a Christian rehabilitation school for um youth. That's where I was working. And if I hadn't have gotten fired and gone through the immense pain and trauma of that woman, who had done it to me before in a previous life, many, many lives ago, um, I wouldn't have walked away from organized religion the way that I did, hence sitting in front of you now, right? Knowing all about that religion and all the other religions and all the this and all the that, I needed something hard, something tragic, something painful to say, "Yep, I'm done. I'm done." Because I had been questioning it. I had been questioning it in many ways. That answered my question. So I needed that. In the same token of that, because I'm going to go back to forgiveness, to end that karma, right? I need to become aware of who she had been in my life multiple times. And it was just, guys, she had only been in my life for a year. It's not like I knew this female like that. My soul, my mind, my being became aware of who she had been and how a lot of what she had done started a chain reaction to very harmful things. Then I had to forgive her. I had to forgive her for this life, the past lives. I had to forgive her, right? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Then I had to forgive myself. Forgive us, for we know not what we do. Forgive us, for we don't know what we're doing, right? I had to forgive myself for all the little things that transpired past life and present life. So, and then I freed it, and I freed myself from that bondage because it's not where I was supposed to be in the first place. So, many of us don't just run around knowing what our past lives were. But if it's something that kind of traumatic, I mean, losing your first job in your whole life when you've been working since you were 11, and yes, I started working at 11, um, was pretty traumatic. It was pretty traumatic for me that to go through something like that, and it could be stemming from an individual that we've only known for a short time period. There's probably some kind of contract there. I had to forgive and release her, and then I had to forgive myself. I don't release myself. I release her though. I will also, before we continue on with these whole soul contracts connected to karma, because see that karma from her original persecution that had been going on with me throughout many lives after the horrible things I thought about myself, the horrible experience I had because of that woman. Brad and I were together in that life as well. He unfortunately, because he was associated with me, he got killed. So that kind of karma, right, goes with us because it's energy, and the intent of that karma to go with us is to eventually, for me to go, no, I'm beautiful. I'm worthy. I am so gifted. I'm going to accept my gifts. I'm going to stand in who I am. I'm going to elevate myself to another level because it's people like this that want to keep me down. No, I choose myself, right? So much of our karma with people, places, and things is to do exactly that. And then you get to the next rung, right? You get to the next rung. And then it's a whole nother set. It's a whole nother set of experiences for you to choose yourself and believe in yourself and know that you are the light. The only reason Christ said that he was the truth, the light, and the way is because he was at the time. He was trying to teach us that we are also the truth, the light, and the way. But I guess it takes a whole lot of karma for us to acknowledge it, forgive it, and release it for us to acknowledge that. So, what I do want to point out too, let's say, okay, this relationship is done. I learned my lesson. I'm choosing me. I'm making better decisions. I forgive this person for past, present, and future, right? I forgive this person for everything. I have to cut this energetic cord that apparently seems to attach us because this is all like spider webs. It really is. Soul contracts really are like the world wide web, or is actually soul contracts. um so let's cut that piece. Let's get rid of it. Like, we're done, we're good, thank you, you served me, I've served you. Because you know what, you know how I served her, that boss. I had been the first person in her life who ever stood up to her. I can guarantee you that. I mean, I got fired because of it, but that needed to happen, right? Somebody living a whole life with nobody standing up to their insanity, to just patronize it and passively aggressively try to manage it? No. So, she needed that from me, because I was the first person to ever do that, and that woman was she was well into her 60s. Can you believe that? Right. So, I forgive her. This is one of the keys though, guys. I wanna put this out there. Um, let's say you've done all that. You've forgiven that, you're aware, you become aware, you want to choose different, especially choosing yourself. You want to forgive them and cut that cord. One of the biggest things that you have to do, is, let's say, just in a meditative form, you can envision that person, thank them for their service in your life, because it is to help you, even if it's hard to help you. You thank them and say the contract is complete. I release you. I will tell you guys, clap your hands really loud. You clap your hands, okay? Um, After you say that in some kind of meditative state, you come out and you clap your hands. You can clap it at least 3 times if you want, really loud. Clapping energetically can cut cords. Clapping energetically can clear energy if you need to. Like if you walk out of a really kind of dense, nasty place, do a circle of clapping around you. Do a circle of clapping around you. I'm trying not to clap because the mic. Clapping cuts energy. So after you imagine, because that's what the meditation would be, and it's definitely heartfelt when there's forgiveness there, so it's real. Thank them for their service, release them, and cut it completely with some beautiful clapping, folks, just so you know. um our soul contracts. This is a wild show, by the way. I just realized this is kind of a wild show. I love you guys so much. This is such a good, lots of food for thought here. Um, Lots of food for thought, I guess. Um, let's take bigger soul contracts. Your partner, your kids, your parents, your siblings, the ones that we are truly connected to. We don't have to stay connected, by the way. We do not have to stay connected. That's not a that's not a forced mandate just because they are your parent or your sibling, like, or spouse, right? That's not it's not a forced thing. It's if you feel like they have fulfilled their role in helping you to elevate and you have done the same for them, then you don't have to stay there if it has been traumatic, right? You don't have to keep receiving from what is not giving. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't have to. But how soul contracts work, actually, I think Cayce says something about this in here. No, no, not in this one. He does, I think, in another part of the book. Um, Soul contracts, they're kind of like a spider web. And let me take a I've been talking for a while, folks. Um, they're like a spider web, think of them that way. And the reason they have to be is because let's just take I'm gonna use me, as I always try to use me as an example. Um, I'm me. I have a sister, I have a mother, I have a father. My mother was a sibling of 7, my father was a sibling of 4. My husband, who I'm connected to, soul contract, um, He has a sister, a mother, a father, and some of these have step parents too. I mean, I have step parents on my side, he does as well. Those are also soul contracts, maybe not directly to my husband, but to his mother, right? When you have a stepdad. Um, his biological dad was a sibling of 10, and his mother was a sibling of 3. So that is just, and now think of cousins, right? I mean, this stuff is phew, goes out everywhere. Now, also think this can also be great friends. I have friends, I've had some of my friends I've had since 6th grade, right? We're thick as thieves, like we're together. Um, soul contracts. So, but as I'm older, I mean, I was almost 30 when I married Brad. So now my contract of myself, which you have a contract with yourself, by the way, for your higher self to be there. You can always sign that at any time. I believe there's a meditation that Stars the Morning Light podcast, which is a meditation podcast. It's probably Meet Your Higher Self, and somewhere in there, if you choose to sign a contract with your higher self to truly become and grow into them, you can always utilize that podcast there on any platform, Stars of the Morning Light. My contract is with Brad, married. His is with his family. Mine is with my family. Well, because it goes out and goes out and goes out and goes out, we did need to be in somewhat the same location, right? So that's first of all, I want to point out to people. Often when people start building soul contracts with each other, um, they tend to live multiple lives in the same area because you have to meet the same people. You have to marry into a certain family. You have to do this. You have to do that. Especially when we lived in a world m- for a very long time that we didn't just travel around a lot, right? We grew up in the same village over and over and over and over again. So oftentimes it's set up that people that have contracts together will also be birthed in similar locations, right? Now, my husband and I, we were an hour and a half away from each other, but similar locations, same state. Now, yes, in today's world, it is different. We can hop on a plane and marry somebody somewhere else and have a green card and do whatever we want to do. Still attached to the web, the big web of connections. So I want to point that out. The reason I want to point that out is the great migration of the roaring 20s that we're in, that everybody's moved around a lot. What I will tell you is soul contracts are still set up. When I that boss in particular, that I did not meet her until I came down here to the Tennessee area. I didn't know she existed. She needed to be here so I would eventually have met her. She needed to have all of her points of view and habits and behaviors so we would eventually have the discord that we had. She had to be here knowing that Brad and I would eventually move here. And she was actually from Mississippi. So at some point, she came from Mississippi to Tennessee, and I came from Illinois down to Tennessee, and we ran into each other. So I could get to where I need to be, and hopefully she is where she needs to be. So, but at the start of our life, and the reason I can bring this up is because Casey talked about this a lot, that we choose where we are born. We choose the body of form we're going to be in. We choose the parents and the siblings. We choose all this stuff. We talked about this in previous conversations in Edgar Cayce Life Skills. That is to design the web of all these soul contracts, cords, that even if you jump from one kind of you jump around like a spider can onto another web that you think is, oh, also new. I'm going to Tennessee. I ain't going to know nobody. They're still going to be there. So it's for your better good. I wanted to put that out there because there's a lot of people moving and shaking right now. A lot of people doing all sorts of stuff right now. That does not mean you're going to be free and clear of soul contracts. Soul contracts are also attached to the concept of karma. That woman had some karma with me. I had some karma with her because of what I felt and told myself at the end while I was dying, right? I never really came at her, but it was in this life that I realized I had to stand up to her. So that is karma. It was in this life I realized I had to stand up to her, or she was going to do the same thing again. So lessons, karmic debt, soul contracts, they're all connected. They're all connected. Karma can be cleansed. Karma can become null and void. It can just, you can squash it. It takes forgiveness. And the soul contracts that we have are in place in this beautiful divine web of us energetically connected, so we can exercise our choice of knowing better, exercise love and compassion, exercise us choosing ourselves and doing what we need to do within that contract to elevate ourselves. And hopefully the other person does as well. I'm hoping all of this made sense because, like Cayce said, karma is very rarely understood. And it is because it has all those parts. It's the soul contracts, it's the debt, and it's the lessons. Did I owe that woman any debt, as in I did her harm? I never once did her harm. Never once. Did I owe myself debt because I never showed up for myself? I never confronted. I never stood up and spoke for myself. Yes. So is that a lesson or is it a debt? I believe that is a debt to myself, taught to me in the lesson from this very quick interaction with this woman, that then I was able to choose myself and say, no, lady, you ain't right. Did I get burned for it? Yeah, I got fired. That's okay. That's okay. Because out of that getting fired, I'm here before you now. And I feel damn good that I stood up for myself, right? Because I did what I was supposed to do for her. Because nobody had ever done that, which rattled her cage and her life big time. Hence, helping her to see she couldn't treat people that way. We are all here helping each other. But unfortunately, it can come out sideways. Unfortunately, it can come out by someone saying, you don't know how to love. You don't know the love of the Father. In a great way that could have been something unfortunately said, but opens up a whole new scope of what love is and how you can experience it and feel it and not deny ourselves of it and not to deny ourselves of the forgiveness that has to be in place for the love to even enter. So I this was an interesting show. This was interesting, and I love you guys. I do love you guys dearly. I really do. Um, I hope it helped somewhere along the line. Oh man, you never know what will be said when we are live. Oh, so chapter 9, so everybody knows. And thank you for being patient with me while I'm doing a lot of work right now. Chapter 9 that we will get into later is called Secrets of the Inner Fires and Fears. Ooh, Secrets of the Inner Fires and Fears. All that karma really shows itself in a lot of fears as well. Oh, I can't wait until you guys just see things for what they are. Just see things for what they are, right? We do that when we're in observer mode. See things for what they are. Love or fear. Love or fear. Love or fear. And oftentimes, there's a lot of fear to choose love. All right, folks. I will let you go. Love to you all. Happy Valentine's Day. We talked a lot about love today, it being Valentine's Day. You are all worthy. You are all divinely, divinely deserving of all the love, all the different forms of love, all a nice, cool breeze in the summertime, man. That's love. Oh my goodness, I can go on and on about love. Enjoy your love day. Love is the ultimate, and we are all capable of receiving and giving it. So, cheers, everybody. Happy V Day, Valentine's Day. Bye, guys.